Absolutely incredible! We want to extend an enormous thank you to our exceptional game development team. Their dedication and hard work brought these one-of-a-kind farming-themed arenas to life, and it's been an absolute joy to experience. Now, brace yourselves for the moment we've all eagerly awaited. Get ready as our players engage in battle, all in pursuit of that coveted first-place title. First, let's take a look at the top match of the 0 to 11 age bracket. Looks like both players used the same strategy to plan gardens near walls and rivers, so there's not much difference there. Charlotte, your thoughts on this?
Well, that's true, but let's take a look at the code. Let's see, how many lines does the red player have? Just about 500, but then, wait a second, the other player has thousands of lines of code. But I believe the red player, it's more about a matter of quality over quantity, because the red player does have more dynamic code. So Valentina, Nick, what do you think? What's making that red player have a more sophisticated kind of code?
Well, it is the 0 to 11 age bracket, so we see a bunch of object-oriented Python going on here. So there's a class for the position, and that lets you abstract over where you place farms. So on the blue side, you have, okay, A1, A2, A3, B1. Like, you have to construct those out of a bunch of if-else statements because you're treating them as like these strings are just, you know, you have to have, what, 100 of them. Well, let's see. Yeah, more than 100 strings. And so, like, your if-elses have to handle hundreds and hundreds of cases. And that is what's contributing to the thousands of lines of code, over 2,100 lines of code here. And here we say, actually, well, B is 66 and C is 67 because A is 65. So we can do some math and turn it to numbers and then do arithmetic on it. And so then you have just code that's like, okay, well, let's look at the offsets. Can we go over 2? Can we go over -1? And that's just kind of moving around, looking compared to where you are, where should we build? And here we have to do every case out by hand. So that's, you know, in the 0 to 11 age bracket, maybe you haven't learned very advanced coding, but you still know what strategy you want. With enough patience, you can be one of the top 2 0 to 11 players. Congrats to player 48 on making it. It'll be number 1, number 2, hard to say, but I do see some more sophisticated code in here with some object-oriented programming and functional abstractions here. Valentin, what are you seeing?
I maybe wouldn't agree the blue code is not complicated enough, because it reminds me, you know, like if you need to write a code, for example, return prime number, like, and it's like below like 1000. The most effective code, it would be just write down all prime numbers. So I would say, are we sure like this code is not generated with another code generator? Because maybe it's more advanced than we think, and it's exactly, there is some really smart algorithm behind which generate code. Like in many programming language, code generation, it's a usual thing, because it's exactly looking like code generation. Like, I'm not sure we really wrote it down everything. So who knows which is better?
Okay, but I think we might have a human code generator here, because look, capital B, lowercase b. Computer don't do it like that. I think we have a human code generator. Well, a huge patience from 48. We do see some sophisticated strategy in here, modeling the future income over time. I just had it up.
But look, it's only first 10 lines using capital, and then everything like lowercase. So my suggestion, like, there is a human tired to typing, on the lines 11. So I'm like, okay, I need to use some GPT, I don't know, like something, and then we get everything like that.
Doesn't it feel more brute force, like writing code this way, and also that you had to write thousands of lines?
Let's answer it with the final score here. Let's see, is it going to be red Chanchila in red, or is it going to be player 48 from CodeQuest in blue? I think red has a higher score, 250 something thousand to 170,000. Chanchila wins. Congratulations. In the 0 to 11 age bracket, Chanchila, you got this. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. And in the 0 to 11 age bracket, Chanchila indeed #1 spot, 662 wins and only 2 losses. That's a 99.7% win rate. And keep in mind that win rate is against everybody, even the older and adult players. Fantastic coding. Code Quest Player 48, also only 4 losses in the whole thing. That's really amazing. Hyper competition from the 0 to 11 age bracket this time. And Code Quest Player 44, congrats for the 3rd place win there.
Hello everyone, my name is Harry. I'm very glad to play this game in Coda Quiz. Coda Quiz not only gave me knowledge but also gave me more fun. I try to use resources and the skills of my hero to gain advantages. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yu Yang. I joined Code Quiz Global Competition because I think it has a lot of challenges and my opponents get stronger and stronger. I very like Code Quiz because when I finish my code, I can fight with my opponents. My strategy is when I finish my code, I'll look what they write and correction my code. Thank you.
Now, this is the open bracket. Similar to our last arena, we're seeing a similar technique of all weed and patches with no gardens, moving in a similar typewriter motion. Ooh, but I see the addition of boosts.
Yeah, those boosts can make a big difference, and there's different kinds of boosts that increase your speed, the robot speed, or increases the income, but it takes a lot more sophisticated coding and strategy to time everything correctly with those boosts. So, Valentina and Nick, does either player actually manage to do that correctly?
I see Red having a lot of boosts. Like, most of the time the Red robot has a boost going, whether it's the fire, the water, or the earth. So there certainly must be some code in here that's prioritizing those boosts.
Well, it would be most effective if we're nearby, so maybe there is no point to hunting for the far away boost, but if it's just like 1-2 cells near you, like why not to make a quick side quest and take this one and you win some time. It's maybe not so much, but just imagine like 1-3 seconds there, then half second there, and at the end it can be like minute after all. Huge boost.
Yeah, and we see that the red robot will go out of its way a few squares and prioritize those boosts. So there's definitely no preset movement pattern in the middle here. Let's look at the code.
Yeah, and even like if their strategy looks similar, but Red trying to collect some boost, and we see results.
Too hard.
Like
I'm
slowly.
Thanks, KK JavaScript. KK is a very regular player of the arenas and often scores very highly. So we'll see how they do on this one. But look at this code, it's so dense, you need a knife and a fork.
I'm also noticing these like matches are super close. Like, it's like, bare knuckle.
Oh yeah, the current score is 17, first 538 to 72, 77. Well, they're still in the kind of build on your side phase that a lot of those players do in the beginning, so the strategy's pretty similar.
Okay. Yeah, so we're trying to build the strong base, like, first. So it's a good strategy, kind of like solid and confident for most of the opponents. So, and then you get to the like, strategic field maneuvers, like trying to overrun your opponent. Like, so, like blue hunting for that river, like, so like, hey, somebody built a river here, like, I can use it. Why not?
Yeah, and replacing Red's garden here because we have water in this well.
But I suppose that river was from the red one, so blue just decided to use it. Like, yeah, so like, see, and for some reason,
I don't know if that's the right play there.
Yeah. And Red ignored its own river, like, so like there's like garden, river, and then like, oh, I go for something else. Like, why?
Well, there's another one.
Because they see a well. Yeah, I think they must have an interesting priority sequence, like, hey, the well is more important than the river.
Maybe they got tired. There's a lot of code and math here for figuring out the value of various things, and they're modeling the boosts, the rivers, the enemy income, the mists, the rains, the travel time with the boosts. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of code. But seems to be working pretty well. We've seen taking the slight edge over blue player 11. So this is one of our China tournament's teachers. So we get the adults getting on the action too, not just the students. We have those coaches in those training centers. So let's see what she's doing. Oh, we have very, very short variable names. It's like a mathematician over here. And we are handling the boosts here as well, although we're not prioritizing them as much. So do I see them going for boost? I mean, it is a lot of river priority that it seems. So we're really just trying to
usually
the water.
Usually red one has some shot hooks for a boost if it's nearby, so why not to taking it always? And blue, for example, blue could take this like water boost and just like, no, never mind, I don't care.
Not as much emphasis on the boost, all up in the waters. Doing a lot of just math in here. 358 lines of code, very tight. This one, 709. And these are like chunky, meaty lines of code too. Just really jam it in there with the JavaScript. Let's see how this plays out. Red's got an advantage, a little bit of advantage here, and I think it is because of those boosts and maybe, you know, some subpar plays where blue maybe goes for the water even if it's a big travel time.
I like the strategy. So look, most of the time we just not trying to build this whole empty space. We're just like, no, I go this well and rebuild my garden. So I think for the top well, if I'm right, we rebuilt it already several times, like after each other. So we're just like running in loops and just like, my well. Not my well. No, my well.
You got the last word on this well, but you didn't have the highest score. Congrats to KK JavaScript in red for pulling out the winner of the open bracket. Let's take a look at the leaderboards. And congrats to KK JavaScript for first place. 98.74% win rate, only 8 losses, winner of the open bracket. Amazing work. Still not as competitive with those 0 to 11-year-olds, but pretty good. The adults still got some competition in them. And teacher Shi 11 with a 95.63% win rate, 28 losses. Second place, congrats. And then Lang Yue, another teacher from our Asia tournaments, just behind in third place with 30 losses and a 95.16% win rate. Congrats to the open bracket winners.
Hi, I'm Shi. CodeQuest Global Competition allows me to witness top talents from around the world. It provides challenging problems that foster problem-solving abilities. My winning strategy for this competition is to focus on saving water sources and occupying territories.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's take a look at the 14 to 18 age bracket. And whoa, this looks like some seriously complicated code. I'm seeing mist, rain, boosts, building wells. I mean, the list goes on. It looks like red is building up their safe territory before moving out towards the middle, but Shining Lice is just going in for the kill.
Oh yeah, I mean, red player is trying to do the ultimate min-maxing. So they're maximizing the efficiency of their movement so that as you're moving to your target, you're planting and picking up boosts along the way. But like you said, Shining Lice, and we know Shining Lice, that Shining Lice's movement is super chaotic, going back and forth between their own 3 columns and the neutral columns. I don't know if there's a method to that madness. Nick and Valentine, is there anything you see in his code?
There's too much to see. It's like I need days to read. Like, so if I have to code review it, like I would take like, okay, give me a few days to take.
Well, Valentine, look, he explained it. Strategy. That's what the code does. You gotta comment your code.
We already know, so this would be some host who going to read this code. So let's explain, not make them suffer. It's thank you, Shylix.
Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, Hill Climber. We got some like machine learning going on here, of course. So like previously Shining Lice's solutions. Remember, for those who don't have context, Shining Lice has won all but 2 of the championships. And the only person to ever beat him was Valent, who we just hired as a full-time game developer. So Shining Lice, when you get old enough, come find us for a job. But as you're still in high school right now, you know, I guess you can sort of do that. But we previous Shining Light solutions have featured a bunch of kind of dynamic bidding on what is the next action to do, all in this kind of like artistically crafted, you know, heuristic system that just simulates the value of everything. But here, going beyond that, we're explicitly pulling in simple machine learning techniques, which, you know, normally machine learning you need your supercomputers and graphics cards and all this. But we've got 10 iterations worth of hill climbing going on in here. And we're handling mists, we're handling rivers, we're predicting the opponent's mists and rivers into the future. Somewhere in here we have enemy next rain. So we're acting as if the enemy is going to use the rain optimally up to 12 seconds in the future and planning our strategy based on that. And like all of that is going into why we do stuff like jaunt out to get this well before going back here, or, you know, as we're moving around the middle, like from here to here, get the well.
Wait. Nick, so he's literally doing weather forecasting?
Well, you want to automate your agriculture. You got to take everything into account. Oh, or not everything. He's not taking the boost into account. Just commented all that stuff out. Don't even need it.
Waste of time. Waste of time.
Like, past 1,000 lines of code. Never mind. Just finish up. Let's see what red is doing here in the code. So this is like that very dense, like, math stuff.
Oh, yes.
Using the map that we've just follows array index.
Yeah, and I think that's why the movement's more methodical, right? Because it's almost like it's based off the pattern, like making. But yeah,
a lot of code to figure out mist rains. They are looking at the boosts, and Wanting Zhao is looking at these boosts here. So we are modeling that and what the enemy's economy is going to do.
I like how Shining Lights using some diversity in the usual base. So most of the players just like for the like 3 columns using the same strategy, and Shining Lights uses something new. So there's like a river, wheat, patches combination, and then like, oh, there is a well, so I don't need to build whole river, like so some of them. So more understanding of how environments work, because most of the player using only wells, like so we're just like, oh well, I need to build patches or garden. I'm not sure why we cannot agree about like what is better, patches or garden. I definitely need to check this balance number, because there should be something one answer, and it looks like no.
Look, there it is. There's one garden. Look at this move that Shining Lights has done. So we're up here, and then the next move is to go almost as far as you can go, all the way down here. We just really need to take over this patch, and then from there we're gonna do this stuff around. I mean, that only emerges when you have it's kind of alien behavior. Like, you would never think to do that, but the machine learning system inside the code is thinking to do that. So Shining Lights has tamed the alien, basically. And so although we don't understand it, yet it still beats us. Like, Shining Lights has a comfortable lead. It's kind of like when it plays those weird Go moves and you're like, really? And then you're like, really? Like, this is kind of, you don't know what's happening, but all you know is that you're playing against Shining Lights.
Yeah, like, why is this patches? Like, so it doesn't have meaning, like, from like, patches there? Like,
well,
there's like,
look how much it's getting 120 per second. Like, this is like a hugely contested thing. These other ones around here are like a fifth of that. So like, this one.
On this point, you can build everything. Just like, I don't care. I just think it would be aesthetic to build patches between trees. Why not? I can afford. I have like plus.
No, but I think Nick makes a good point, though. It's just like playing chess with a super advanced player. So they're thinking so many steps ahead that it doesn't seem logical when you see the action. But that's because their algorithm's already anticipating these steps that we can't even see with our eye.
It
right?
used to be a garden. This is crazy. And eventually, when we take it over, it's a patch, and we're like, you know what? Never mind. I don't care that it was a garden. Now it's a vegetable patch.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason why we just can't see it, because we're not the master like Shining Lights.
If you were playing this board game by hand, even with infinite time, I think you would still lose.
Oh my god. Yeah, totally.
What I really love about like building those arenas, like, so how many already I built, like, so now with Valent, so even like I know all the rules, I know all numbers, like, and each time I have no idea what players doing, like, so, like, when I design on paper, like, so, okay, I probably were going to use this strategy, that's why I put numbers like that, and then Shining Lies,
We're
doing,
Shining.
like, we don't care about what you thought about, like, we're going to use our own strategy, like, oh, so it was possible? Like, I have no idea, like,
We can't
like
predict the
somebody else.
strategy. We can just predict that we're going to be staring at this two-word phrase at the end of it. Will somebody emerge a champion to defeat Shining Lies, and/or get a job with us, and then we'll need a new champion. But go ahead, take your shot. Congratulations to Shining Lies on another AI League and CodeQuest combined win. Let's take a look at the leaderboards for the age 14 to 18 bracket, and we can see Shining Lights only with one loss. Now I really want to go find that match, because someone somewhere managed to give him one. It wasn't enough to take him off the top spot, but he wasn't completely undefeated, so there is glory to be had for the other players on the board. And then we have Guan Tingjiao in second. Congrats, only 5 losses, 99.2% win rate. And then we have Li Cheng over in the third place. Congrats to our CodeQuest and Asia players for the top 3.
Hello everyone, my name is Guan Tingjiao. I come from Tianjin. Code Combine not only arouses my interest in learning programming, but also exercise my logical thinking. During the game, I change my strategy to make the difference between our team and the enemies as large as possible. I sometimes use rain and miss to either increase our team's revenue or decrease the enemy's revenue to win the game.
Alright, this leaderboard, it's as usual, but wait a second. Someone actually made Shining Lights have one loss. So I'm telling you, there is a possibility that someone could beat it out. We're just waiting to see it. Now, congratulations to Shining Lights, as always. Maybe one day we'll see you beat, but this is not the season.
Now, normally we see that the 14 to 18 age bracket is the most competitive, but this time the number 2 player is not from that bracket. It's the 0 to 11 bracket winner, Chen Qile, that we saw earlier. So I really want to see, with only 2 losses, what that match looked like between Shining Lights and Chen Qile. Let's take a look.
Okay, so now let's take a look at the overall top 2 player match of 0 to 11 bracket plus the 14 to 18 bracket. Charlotte, what are you seeing?
Right, this is so different from the other age brackets because, before we see them first starting off building in their own zone and then going into the neutral, look at these two. They are hopping back and forth. They're realizing, wait a second, Shining Light started going towards the middle, so then the red player is also going towards the middle. This is very dynamic algorithms going on. They're really anticipating the enemy's movement and then reacting accordingly. Again, with that resource, like, they're planning to build plots close to wells. They're using boots. They're using this. They're using everything in their toolbox. Like, Nick and Valentine, what do you all see?
I think the reason why we started to building in the neutral territory, because both players used reins on the first second, just immediately on the opponent side. You can see it like in the first second, like bam, reins. So we both figure out like, okay, no reason to stay in the predictable zone, because like problem if you building in your like safe area, you're kind of like predictable, vulnerable, because your opponent can just like, okay, just like rain, the same column, and you would be slow. So we both reacted on that like, okay, it's dangerous, not effective place, let's go in the middle, because in the middle you already not so free about using reins, because like you can see sometimes we're using rain and it affects both players again, but in this your opponent territory, it's kind of like if safe to use.
Keep your friends close, enemies closer, everybody's gonna get wet. So we're like lots and lots of competition around the same few plots. And so back and forth in the beginning, we were just keep building over here. And of course this is closer to red. So Chen Qile thought they had it, but then eventually after this interplay finish, Shining Lice has all 4 of the superpowered plots around this well. And so somehow in this like brutal competitions like this, it's like playing tennis and running straight up to the net. Shining Lice seems to have the edge here in how his code is reacting.
Yeah, but this one's super close, right? Like compared to the other one. So it is a definite. I love your metaphor of like that back and forth. It's a true volley or ping pong, really.
I have played tennis and ping pong at least one time, so I'm qualified as an expert to talk about these sports.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Yeah, and here we are using gardens and patches more effectively. So yeah, now I remember, like, gardens are better when there's like a lot of free spaces, and patches more effective when there is like some diversity, like occupied space. So if there's like forest, well, it's better to build patches. Like if other players already built something like weed, something around, patches. But while there's a lot of free space, use gardens.
That makes
so you
much,
can see.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense, Valentine, because in the past ones we were going, where are the gardens? But it's because they were so packed, like with all of the other fields, that the gardens just didn't make logical sense. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so there's like sometimes you can like sabotage, maybe, let's say this way. Like if you see a lot of your opponent gardens, just build your own patches, and your patches get advantage from opponent gardens because patches like biodiversity and gardens don't like it. So we just like woo, drop down, and your patches just like you get something. But the main point, how you use the games, like so. Yeah, it's we can see Shine Light. So previous match was like about like weed, heavy building, relics, everything. Here it's just like gardens, like totally opposite strategy on the first look. So it's exactly example of like reactive code, like so depends like how your opponent do it, like what obstacles here, like. And by the way, what I have not noticed at first, like I mentioned about rain, but there is another reason. Look at their starter territory. There is like no wells, there is rocks, forest, so it's really a bad place to build something, because you cannot build river anymore, like because those rocks, like so. Yeah, what's the reason? Let's go in the middle where like 6 wells, and they're like really packed place, like oh, water paradise.
Yeah, that's
so if you're
truly
not modeling
reactionary.
the economy, you're going to have a bad time on this particular map, because this is a bad place to build. These players both modeling economy, both do the correct strategy. Shining Lice just twice as much code, 10 times as much alien machine learning. My hat is off to whoever gave him the one loss bet. Well, congratulations again to Shining Lice for another AI League Championship win.
Congratulations again to Shining Lice. Their code this season allowed them to score 614 victories and take the title, yet again, of overall All-Champion Grand Prize. Let's catapult ourselves into Season 9, the Reign of Code season. Valentin, can you give us a glimpse into what's in store for this upcoming season?
This arena, we decided to took our favorite arena and to add some epic battle, because like, okay, enough farming, let's get some ogres and skeletons in action. So we took our Giant's Gate arena and decided to rethink it, like so. Even if it looks familiar for you, there is a lot of changes here. Like there is like some spawn creeps and some rules following more like MOBA games. So we kind of try to mix between Infinite Inferno, Giant Gates, and other arenas, and took the best practice. Currently it's in balancing, so yeah, a lot to do. Yeah, you see there's like fireballs, spells, like, and catapults. Like, who does not love catapults? Like, so it's the best part. Like, and probably we're going to add more new units here, so I think we will get a strong competitor for our most epic battle, Infinite Inferno. So we'll see in the end of the season, like if we get some dragons maybe in the end. Why not? We need dragons.
A huge thank you to the entire Code Combat community and all of our players this season. Thank you to our experts here today and to HyperX for all of the support. Feel free to check out all the latest leaderboards and start playing at codecombat.com/league.